this line here out. You can see that there's all melted, and you can see this was going to be a secondary option for my map sensor that I was just going to use for testing, and that's all melted. I think what it is fuel getting up in there, and just these lines aren't fuel safe, I guess. There's that one that was all sucked in. The other thing, so that was creating massive leaks there, and that port there is really filthy. There's a little bit of oil in this thing, but that there's like a real bad. I'll show you the engine. How good you can see down there. Pretty nasty looking. So I went and did a leak down just to make sure that I didn't mess anything up by having those cylinders lean. I got a leak down gauge here, and as you can see, so we can get it up to 100 here. I basically have 0 leak down, so I'm plenty good. So on with the project. Alright, I got all my fittings screwed into the intake. These are just sitting in there right now because I gotta do some more welding on it, but that's roughly how it's gonna look. It'll get zip tied on for right now while I do all the testing on the engine, make sure this is gonna work, and then I'll weld some brackets on it and figure out a way to clamp it on here, bolt it on here, do something, make it look like it belongs there. But underneath here you can see they all come out. The port's good. I'll eventually probably go with small AN fittings on here. I need to plug the front, put my map sensor in there, and then my idle air control valve will go back in there too. I've had some people ask about, if I put the idle air control valve back here, if it'll feed these cylinders, but I've talked to an engineer and he talked like that's not going to be a problem, because even if, say, I put it up here, well, then it's going to feed these cylinders. So if that was the case, I would have to make a circle up here and then feed it right in the middle of it, and according to this engineer, he said it's not going to make a difference for what I'm doing. So there's not enough friction in it, which I didn't even think about that, but I'm going to go with what he said because he's a lot smarter than me. So this is the setup I'm going to put the intake on next. Alright, I've been working on my manifold log here, and I got the map sensor on, drilled a hole, used the grommet, and then I had to make a little tab on there to locate the map sensor to keep it from spinning around. I'll doll this thing up a little bit later after I know it works. I'll polish it out. I got a plug on one end there, and I still got to put my plug and tap it out down here. I might just tap that to bigger size temporarily to make sure this is going to work before I go to a ton of trouble on it. So that's just about ready to go on. And then I don't know how well you can see, but I got the air horns on. I had to make a fuel line a little longer. I got a couple things off of there right now, but you can see it looks pretty good with the air horns all on there. And this will sit back here like so. It will be zip tied temporarily. So that's about where I'm at. I will get this thing done here pretty quick, hopefully, and I'll let you hear what it sounds like at idle. Alright, so here is the log I ended up making for the idle air control. Hopefully it'll even out the cylinders and be able to control the idle. And I got a big 3/8 hose going in the back, 1/4 inch hoses coming out the side. So that's what's going to go on there. This is I'll probably use the log permanently if it works out, but it'll get polished up and get AN fittings in it if this does work and it tunes out good. So this is somewhat temporary, although if this works, it's going to stay, just look a little different when I'm done. Alright, this is just going to be a quickie fire up in the garage. Make sure it works. It won't run very long. Fire it up again, see if it changes the idle any. Did just a hair bit of tweaking, not too much in here because the garage is stinking up. Got the door open and the heater sucking up so it'll pull it out. But this thing sounds totally different than it did with the other setup. You hear real loud pops, but it's out each bank. It's not just one bank. Before, just one bank was louder than the other. Now they're both even, and I've got the same amount of air using my little synchrometer coming out, and it sounds a whole lot better. So go ahead and fire it up. Sounds a lot better. Alright, sorry about the slow update this time. I've been busy with some other stuff. Studebaker project mainly, and I haven't posted a video of that either. But worked on the IAC log for a couple weeks on this thing. Got to work to it when I can. And fired it up as you saw in the video. And I think I might have it this time. I forgot to bring my scan tool home to check what the idle air control was doing. But I had to crank the idle screw in quite a bit on the throttle bodies to get it to stay running. So I need to do some adjustment there. So everything's looking positive. It sounds the same out of both banks. It has kind of a weird distinct pop out the left side and the right side. So I don't think there's a problem with anything messed up in the engine. I just think it's the way it's going to sound. But I got to get the idle finished up on it, and it's icy outside. So I'm definitely not going to be able to tune it this week. Maybe next week Pete and I can go out tune it. We'll see how the weather cooperates and what the schedules look like. But anyways, thanks for watching, and as always, like and subscribe.